Hey YouTube! Some of you might have heard that Spider-Man has joined the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I'm super excited that I might get to see Spider-Man fighting alongside my other favorite superheroes, Iron Man, Hulk, Star-Lord, Wolverine. No, not Wolverine. It's unbelievable. It's just mind-blowing. I know. To commemorate that, I'm going to be showing you guys how to make your own amazing Spider-Man mask. I know it's not the same as other Spider-Man masks, but most of the other Spider-Man masks are not that different. So maybe you can use these same methods to make your own, no matter what style of Spider-Man you want. The rules still apply, so here we go. I made this Spider-Man mask just before the first Amazing Spider-Man movie came out, and ever since it's been my favorite thing I have ever made to date. So now, I'm going to show you guys how I made it. Since I already made it though, it's going to be more of a run-through than a walkthrough. So, I'll show you all the stuff that I used to make it and how I made it, but I won't actually be making it. Let me show you how to be Spider-Man. Here we go. So, first things first, a pattern. Yes, a sewing pattern. You can sew. I did it. I've never sewn before. This was my first time doing it, and I don't regret it in the least. You're gonna have to get a pattern, like this one. I can't tell you exactly where to find it, but I can tell you if you just do a quick Google search, it's there. Once you have that pattern, you're going to need to use some type of software. Usually you can find one online where you can just resize the picture. You want to try to print it out so that it matches the size of your head. Here's the one I made. What I did was I printed it out on several sheets of paper and just taped them together. What you want to do now is tape it up as if you're sewing it, so you can try it on your face before you do anything else. Now, taping it up is not that hard. It's as simple as taking the ends and then just putting them together, taping along the seam. Anywhere you see a cut, bring it together. So what I do is I just bring them together, put a piece of tape right there. Boom. Now mind you, this is just the front of the mask. There are two pieces like this off to the side. These will be the back of your mask. You don't need to tape these pieces to the front of the mask. You just want to tape the front of the mask just to make sure your chin to the top of your head fits inside of it. Also, when you're taping it, make sure to line up the lines. They help. The chin part on paper is a little difficult to tape up. Just make sure you use the lines to line them up. There's one line that goes right underneath the chin that doesn't connect to another line, but the line directly under that does. See what I mean? Here's the chin. This line does not line up to anything. It goes right under your chin. This line, though, does line up to the rest of the neckline. You don't have to worry about the rest of the bottom here. All you want to make sure is that you have the chin part taped up all the way up to the top of your head. Now that you're all taped up, your face should fit in there. If it doesn't fit in there all the way, don't worry about it. You're gonna make this on stretchy fabric, so it'll have a little stretch. Just make sure that it's not way too tiny. If it is, just try to resize it and then reprint it out. Keep trying. Make sure if you're throwing out a bunch of paper, recycle. I don't want you killing any trees that don't need killing. It's definitely better to have this just a little smaller than your face than the other way around, because otherwise you'll just have a saggy Spider-Man face, and that would look weird. Once you have the right size of this, take the tape off. You don't want to take all the tape off. You just want to get it back into this shape because this is the pattern you're going to be using on your fabric. When you print this out, make sure you print these out with it. So in case this fits, these will definitely fit. Once you have this, you're going to need to buy fabric. The fabric you'll be buying is 4-way stretch red lycra, just like this. Here's a better look at the texture of the fabric. Stretches both ways. I do have to warn you, the fabric's a little pricey. I believe I got mine around $14 a yard, but I made my mask with around half a yard. I did buy 1 full yard though, in case anything would have happened. So, if you want to stay safe, I would go with the full yard. While you're at the fabric store, you also want to try to see if you can find some honeycomb shaped mesh, preferably black. This is what it should look like in front of a white piece of paper. Honeycomb shaped mesh. So then what you want to do is you want to take your fabric, lay it out nice and flat on a surface. Put this right on top of it. Make sure there's no folds or anything in your fabric or in your paper. And then you just want to trace along the outside with a Sharpie. Once you have this traced on your fabric, you can start cutting. And don't forget, you also need your back pieces. 2 of these. There's 2 of these. Save the paper pattern. You're gonna need it later. But when you cut your pattern on your fabric, don't cut directly on the line. Cut around it to give you some space to sew. So, the sewing. I didn't have a sewing machine when I started this project. And no, I didn't do it by hand. And no, I didn't go out and buy a $200 sewing machine. I found this little one. Walmart. 20 bucks. That's it. Sewing machine. Done. Or, if you know someone who has a sewing machine, ask to come over and borrow it. Maybe they'll even sew it for you. So what I did was, I sewed the pattern together. The same way you take this up, that's how you're gonna sew. You're just gonna line up your lines and sew it. Once it's all sewed up, the inside of your mask should look pretty ugly because it's just stuff. But flip it inside out and you have yourself a red mask. What you're gonna do, take a Sharpie, open it up, have it ready in one hand. Put your mask on. You're not gonna be able to see yet. While it's over your eye, feel where your eye's at. Take the Sharpie. Dab it. Boom. You got a little spot there where your eye's at. Do the same for the other side. Take the mask off your head. You should have 2 dots. 2 dots that look like this. Well, this is just one, but you get the idea. You're gonna pinch where the dot is and pull it away from the rest of the mask. Then just take scissors. Boom. Cut it. Let go of it. Once you put it on, you've got your eye hole. Now you can see. If it needs to be bigger, you can make it bigger, just not while it's on your head. Take it off your head first. Seriously. You need your eyes. Now, with both eye holes, put your mask back on. Make sure you like how it fits. This is why I bought a full yard instead of just a half yard. Just in case you mess up, you want to have a little bit of extra fabric so you don't have to go all the way to the store and buy some more. Now that you know it fits, you need to unsew your mask. But I already put it together. I know. You have to take it apart, or else you're just going to have a red mask. Now you'll take your paper pattern and you'll find a big piece of cardboard. And you'll just place your paper pattern right on top of it using thumbtacks or something to flatten it out and make sure it does not move. You can use tape, but you're going to have to trace around it with Sharpie, so tape might not be the best option. It's going to look something like this, except without the red spray paint. That comes later. Now that your paper pattern is secured to the cardboard, you're going to want to take a needle or a thumbtack or something, and right where the lines intersect, right where they cross, you're going to need to put a hole there. Make sure you do that for everyone on the mask. Now that you've done that, you can take your pattern off of the cardboard. Now, if you look at the cardboard, you should see your mask and a bunch of holes in it. Use those holes as a guide to draw your lines where they intersect. That's where your holes should be. Once you have your lines drawn, wherever the squares are, you want to cut around your lines. Like this. What you want is a template, because what you're going to be doing is you're going to be placing this on top of your fabric. I only did one side, because then you can just flip it and it'll be the other side. Exactly the same. Now you're going to take your mask that you cut out of the fabric, tape it along the outside of this. Make sure it matches up perfectly. Now you're going to need a little bit of red spray paint. What the red spray paint is going to do is it's going to darken the inside of your webbing to make the colors pop, make it stand out a little more. Trust me, you want that. So now that you have your fabric taped to this side, you're going to want to flip it over, and this is what you're going to want to spray paint. You don't want to glob it up. All you want is nice, light, even coats across the entire mask. Then you're going to want to let it dry for a little bit. Take your mask off of the cardboard, flip it, and make sure to do the other side also, so you have both halves. Don't forget to do the same with the back of the mask. These parts are also important. Now that you have that done, if you hold up your pattern, you should see basically where the webbing's supposed to go, right in between the dark spots of your mask. The next step is you're going to make a light table, and I'm going to show you how to do that. So what you're going to do is you're going to take a frame. I happen to have this one lying around, so this is the one I used. Take the back off. Pull all the stuffing out. The only thing you want is the glass. Be super careful. The edges can cut you. Just to be safe, use some tape and cover the border. That way, there's less of a chance of you cutting yourself. And if you have to put it down, you can see where it's at. Now all you need is a light to go underneath the glass. You can use any type of lamp, a work light, what have you. Just make sure that you can have it down low, because you will be needing it to be shining through the glass from below. Now what you want to do is you want to take your paper pattern and you want to tape it to your glass. Make sure to tape it completely flat against the glass, so it'll look something like this. Once you have that, take your mask, place it over your pattern, and tape that down on top of it. Once you have your fabric on top of the pattern, turn your light on underneath so that it shoots the pattern up through your mask. Now you should be able to see exactly where all your lines should go. You will be using dimensional fabric paint, so make sure to take a strip off so you can do a test. These are the fabric paints that I used. Tulip Slick Dimensional Fabric Paint. I used black and deep red. For the test, all you need to do is draw some black squares. Just see how thin you can make your lines and how straight. And that's it for now. Once you've done your test and you have your fabric over your paper pattern, place the light table on your lap. Make sure the light is underneath you and turn it on. Now you can see where you're going to draw all your lines. Take your black paint and very carefully trace the lines on top of your fabric that are coming through from your paper pattern. Make sure when you're doing the black lines to not do anywhere along the outside of the mask, because that's where you're going to be sewing it together, and it'll make it that much harder, and you're going to use the fabric paint afterwards to cover up the seams. Once you have all your lines traced on your fabric, make sure that you let it dry. Then you can take the fabric along with the paper pattern off of your table. Now you want to take your mesh and tape it to your light table. You can't see it very well, but it's there. Then you want to take your fabric and tape it on top of your mesh. Once that's done, turn your light on, and now you should see very little faint honeycomb shapes in the red part of your mask. What you'll want to do is you'll want to take your deep red dimensional fabric paint and try to trace those little honeycomb patterns. This is the part that will take you the longest of this mask. So now you can take the fabric off of your light table and sew it back up. It should look like this, with your black fabric paint and then the red honeycombs. They don't have to be perfect, but the closer, the better. So once your fabric paint is dry and you have it all sewn up again, try it on. See what it looks like. Yeah, you won't have the iframes and the lenses on there, but at least you'll get to see what it's going to look like. The only thing left is your iframes and your lenses, and I'll show you how to do that right now. I suggest you get a styrofoam head. They look like this. Now that's all sewn up and everything, you can put your mask on the styrofoam head. So with the mask on your styrofoam head, try to center the line of the webbing straight down the front of the mask. This will help you when you're trying to do the iframes. So for the iframes, you can either try to see if you can find a picture of what they look like on Google and print them out directly from there, or you can try to hand draw them, which is what I did. On a regular piece of paper, I drew the iframes the way I wanted them to look like. Then I took a craft sheet of foam and just traced it onto the foam, cut it out in the shape of the iframe. You only need one because one iframe will work for both eyes. While at my craft store, I bought this. It's called Easy Cast. This comes with 2 bottles, resin and a hardener. Once you mix both of them together equal parts, then you put it in a mold and you have your part. So to make my mold, this is only the way I did it because I'm cheap. So I used Play-Doh. What I did was I molded it into a big enough piece where I can fit my foam iframe. Once it was big enough, I just took my foam iframe and I pushed it down into it. I tried to give it a little curvature as I was pushing down into the Play-Doh to try to give it a little more bend. Then I flipped it, did the same thing on the other side. Once I had my molds done, I poured my epoxy into it and I let it dry overnight. The next day, I have a dried plastic clear mold. So then all I did was I used some sandpaper, sanded it down to make sure that it was nice and smooth. Once I sanded it down, I got black spray paint, went outside, sprayed it down to get a nice even coat on both lenses. Once that was done, I got a sink filter, which looks like this. And then I basically took the rim off of it. Once I flattened it, it looks like this. Be careful with this because the edges are sharp. Once I straightened it, I took gold spray paint and I sprayed it across to give it a nice gold finish. Then I put the iframes on top of it, used a Sharpie as an outline, and then I cut the filter with scissors. I then hot glued the filter to the frames, but then you could still see my eyes, so I had to find something else. So I bought clown glasses. Yes, clown glasses. Clown glasses like this. So what I did was I popped the blue lenses out of the glasses and just used those as a backing for the iframes and the filter. I placed the iframe on top of the clown glasses lenses, used a Sharpie to draw around the outside of it, and then I cut it out to the shape that I needed it to. Once that was cut out, I hot glued the clown glass lens and the sink filter to the iframe. Then you have your lenses. Now you just take your lenses back over to your mannequin head with your mask on it and line up the lenses so that it looks right. Once it looks good, hot glue the lenses onto your mask. I know you want to go ahead and put it on right away, but remember there's hot glue on the mask. Do not put it on right away until it dries. Now that your mask is dry, you can put it on, and you are now your very own Spider-Man. So, if you like what you saw today, make sure to comment on the comments below. Well, you get the idea. See you next time. So then all I did was I used some sandpaper, sanded it down to make sure that it was nice and smooth, and then I just used, what did I use?